At this point, I will turn it over to Karen Borja to do a brief introduction.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Borja. I'm the Director of Legislative and Community Affairs for Planned Parenthood Action Fund of the Pacific Southwest. I'm very grateful to be here today. I congratulate the Persist team for 6 incredible years, the growth of the conference, and all of you for joining us today. So thank you.
Demanded that reproductive rights be inclusive. So, we're forever talking about abortion, we're forever talking about abortion legality, and we will be talking again about abortion legality today. But we need to remember that reproductive rights goes beyond the right to have an abortion. It certainly is the right to have an abortion, right? But if you're going to determine your reproductive future, right? If you're going to have control over your reproduction, you also need access to health care, right? To prenatal care, postnatal care, the ability to care for children as well. So that's one of my sort of main focuses. And my second book, More Than Medicine, was sort of a continuation of that, but about the feminist women's health movement of the 1970s and 80s, and certainly the feminist women's health movement as it confronted the pro-life movement. As the pro-life movement gained steam in the 1980s and started attacking clinics as well.
Thank you both. Can you please talk about what is happening now that Roe has been overturned both in California and nationally?
So I'll start off by saying that abortion in California is still safe, legal, and protected. But we also must do our part to ensure it remains that way, and that further access to abortion, to reproductive rights and reproductive justice is opened as far and as wide as we possibly can. So what has happened, right? The Supreme Court did not act alone when they overturned Roe v. Wade, when the Dobbs decision was handed down. There have been very well-funded anti-abortion rights activists, politicians, people in our own communities, clergy, right, who have really made it their mission, and still do to this day, to continue to block access, not just to abortion care, but to reproductive justice and reproductive health care. There are many hostile politicians across this country who have worked and who have passed legislation to ensure that Roe v. Wade would be overturned, that something like the Dobbs case would come to be. So it's no surprise to us, right? Us collectively. We all fought, Planned Parenthood Action Fund fought really hard to ensure that we had a very different outcome in the 2016 elections. We understood that with the Trump presidency, there would come a very clear target to the Supreme Court and eventually to the right to privacy. So in 2018, when Justice Brett Kavanaugh was appointed to the Supreme Court, we read the writing on the wall. We said, this is it, it's coming. And we've asked a lot of you to join us in many different activities since then, right? Voting, marching, literature drops, talking to your people, saying the word abortion. Locally, Planned Parenthood of the Pacific Southwest has health centers in Riverside, Imperial County, and San Diego County. Here in our region, we were very excited and also terrified, and we said, we need to get ready. We don't exactly know what's coming, but we know that it will be devastating for many across the country. There were already 13 states that had trigger ban laws that as soon as Roe fell, immediately, within hours, their states would ban all access to abortion. And as we saw, that's exactly what happened. Locally, we were very proud to open up a new health center in the city of Hemet. We got to work in expanding our Riverside Health Center, our Coachella Health Center, our Rancho Mirage Health Center, and many other things, right, that we had to do. One of the most exciting coalitions in California in a very, very long time when it comes to reproductive justice was the formation of the California Future of Abortion Access, the California FAB Council, as we call it, or as they call themselves. It's made up of 40 different organizations, from abortion providers to reproductive justice movement leaders to community members to leaders in every other movement. When I talk about reproductive justice, I mean justice in everything that is encompassing when we consider justice. That was September of 2021. There was 45 different pieces of legislation and policies that the California FAB Council said, if we pass these bills, if we create legislation around these 45 topics, we can protect Californians and we can protect people who are coming into California to seek care, and we can protect those who are providing access to abortion. And I'm very proud and very happy to say that just a couple of weeks ago, the governor signed 14 of our 17 bills into legislation and into law. Yeah. And so that's a little bit about what's happening, right? I will also mention that it's true. The reports that you read about patients traveling hundreds of miles, mostly in cars, some taking planes, some having to hitch rides, are true. At our affiliate, we did see a 300% rise in patients from Arizona. We are seeing patients from Texas. As soon as the SB 8 law passed in Texas, we were getting calls, we were getting people asking for support. How to, I need care, what do I do? We continue to see those patients coming to us seeking care. And we also continue to understand that it is going to take all of us in the movement to make some different reality happen, not just for us in California, but for people across this country. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Karen. Jennifer?
Not sure exactly where to start, but where we are right now. I mean, abortion has been under attack for a long time. So I was a abortion rights activist as a college student. Many of you are college students. And we saw that the right to abortion was threatened then. And certainly since 1992 with the Casey decision, which allowed states to pass a myriad of restrictions, right, on abortion access. Abortion hasn't been very accessible in many states. So the Dobbs decision is the next step. And I guess one of the things that really concerns me is that, I don't know, I just wonder where we failed as a movement, right? Where we let the anti-abortion movement get the higher ground, right? Gain so much steam. On some level, they were lucky, right? I mean, the Supreme Court appointments, right, were somewhat serendipitous. I think it wasn't inevitable. I mean, that Trump got 3 appointments, and Merrick Garland, of course, was blocked during the Obama administration. So, so that was not inevitable, but abortion was already under attack. And I guess one of the things that I'd like to motivate us to do is to think about how we can improve the situation to previous to Casey, right? I mean, we want abortion to be understood. I think abortion should be understood as a human right. It's a fundamental human right, right? It's a fundamental human right. How can people who are capable of becoming pregnant determine their future if they can be forced to carry a pregnancy that is not wanted, right? How is it possible that women can be full citizens if they can be forced to carry a pregnancy that they don't want? How is that possible? How can we live in a country where that's possible? But it is, right? I mean, Karen and I were just talking about what it must be like for a 15 or a 16-year-old who's pregnant in Texas right now, whose parents disapprove of abortion. She can't tell her parents that she's pregnant. What does she do? Like, we were just joking, you can't take an Uber to California to get an abortion. So I mean, one of the things that I hope is that we can talk about abortion frankly, right? As a aspect of comprehensive health care, and that it's not something shameful. Something else we were discussing before we started was that even women who have had abortions feel ashamed to talk about it, right? We need to turn that around. So I'll stop there. But.
Yeah. Thank you. Well said, both of you. What can we do to protect reproductive rights in California and nationally? What can be done at this point?
One of the first things that we can do is to see ourselves as part of the movement. Justice with a capital J, right? In that justice, we have environmental justice, immigration justice, reproductive justice. There's so many ways that we can think about reproductive justice, touching every other form of justice under that capital J. A few weeks back in Temecula, we had Councilmember Alexandra propose that the city essentially create an ordinance, thank you, that would deny her constituents access to any and all abortion care in the city of Temecula. People who formed part of the reproductive justice movement stood up. They packed the halls of the Temecula City Council and said, not in our city. Not in our city will you be denying access to anyone who needs care, because we believe that abortion is health care. We know that abortion access is health care. Who were these people? They were students. They were parents. They were coaches. They were grandparents. We heard from all sorts of people giving public comment, calling us up, asking how they could get involved. We had people send in public comments, right? And you know what? Those local organizing efforts from people who said, I'm in this movement, I belong here, those efforts worked. Just 2 days ago, that same council member said, can we make another proposition that we are in opposition of Proposition 1? Proposition 1 is on the November ballot, and it would, in our Constitution, say abortion and contraception is a fundamental right for everyone in California. And she once again said, can we oppose Proposition 1? And organizing efforts worked because this time the city manager, the city attorney nipped it in the bud. Before it could get even into the public, into a thought, they said, no, we are not going to have this conversation in our community. What was said earlier about getting involved at a very local level matters. Some of our local leaders that you'll hear from today started at your school boards. They were your council members. That will be you. You will be those school board members, council members, special district elected and appointed people, right? And you one day might choose to seek higher office. And so it is important for you to feel and know that you are part of the movement. Something else that I'll share is that UCR, Planned Parenthood, has a Planned Parenthood Generation Action Chapter. Those PPGA students are on fire. We have a past president here. Love her to death. She's now on our board. With Elizabeth's leadership, the leadership of other UCR students a couple years back, they opened up and they had a ribbon cutting for the Wellness Express machine at the gym at UCR. At the wellness vending machine, it's kind of like a sandwich machine. You can go in, you can buy Plan B, Tylenol, condoms, ointment, whatever you might need. It's at the gym, bottom floor if you need it, just ask us there. But I have a captive audience. Mm-hmm. You know the number one product that is sold at the wellness vending machine? Guess. Pads, what else? Condoms.
Yeah, they said
Plan B. Plan B is the number one sold item on that on your campus's wellness vending machine. You know why? Because when you give students access to get the care that they need, they will seek that care. When you trust people to make the decisions for themselves, they will make their own decisions for what suits them, their families, their future. As someone who had an abortion at 19, I know that was the truth for me. I know making my decision for myself is what literally allows me to be in front of you today in my own community. As I mentioned earlier, what else can be done in California? We have Proposition 1 on the ballot. We have our community organizer, Leticia Cachu, sitting literally in the middle of the audience. Raise your hand one more time. She has these Prop 1 information sheets. If you want more information, contact Leti. If you want to get involved with us, contact Leti. There is always something going on at Planned Parenthood, always. We have our abortion fund that is supporting patients who are coming from literally any other state seeking support, calling us up and saying, hey, my tire got a flat on the way from Phoenix to Rancho Mirage. What do I do? We're helping them out, right? We have students from our communities that don't know where else to turn. We're helping them out. If you want more information, planned.org is the way and the place to find us. Volunteer with us. Come hang out. There's always something going on. Thank you. Jennifer?
Well, I'll keep it short. And as I said, I'm a historian, so I tend to look to the past. But I guess I would say that we need to run for office and vote, right? And we need to be as passionate about the issue as the anti-abortion movement is. More so, right? I mean, they have succeeded, and they've been succeeding for a while, and we've been losing ground. And trust me, they won't stop at overturning Roe v. Wade with Dobbs. That's not the end of it. The anti-abortion movement will be happy when there is fetal personhood, when life is protected from conception. And, oh, amazing. So if we can imagine what that might look like, that if life were to be protected from conception, what that would mean for women's ability to have autonomy and to make decisions about their lives, we can't let that happen. So that means we have to vote, we have to fight, we have to march, we have to show up. And we have to talk about it, right? We have to be willing to talk about it. Abortion is not a shameful thing, right? Many, many people who have unwanted pregnancies go on with their lives because they've been able to make that decision and do it safely, right? We have to be able to talk about that. And like, now's the time, right? Now's the time.
Now is absolutely the time, and actually I think that's a great note to end on, so we can make up some time in this conference. Please connect with Karen and Jennifer. They are an amazing source of resource and information. Please give them a round of applause.